Bonjour. Right, I've returned from Baltimore Comic Con. How can I forget that? Sorry, it's taken me a little while to catch up with the time difference, etc, etc. So I've rushed to Comics and Fantasy in Hornchurch, saw my old mate Paul, got this week's comics. But I tell you what, before I start going through all the comics out, what I'm going to do is change the format a little bit, because what I'm realising is when I'm catching up on stuff, and forgive me, it's my age, and when I don't want to make it too intense every week to deliver 6 of the best, that's what she said, I think I'm going to make it more of a weekly chat about some of the best comics, maybe something that's gone on, little news thing that's gone on in the news, only comics. Anyway, without waffling on too much, I'm still going to do the best of this week, and there have been a couple of crackers, by the way, a couple of crackers. But because I've brought back some stuff from the convention I want to talk about, and it's kind of current but not, rather than keep splitting everything up into this and that and that and that, and putting hog in front of it, which I'm having great fun with, the format is still going to be, let's have a look at some of the glorious artwork and talk about the story writing and everything great, or what I consider the best of the week. But then also, let's have a chat about another couple of bits. So here we go. Let's see if you like it. Let's get into it. Right, Dark Knights of Steel, because I like they're doing these medieval type Elseworlds stories, and I did review one a couple of weeks ago, another one, I think it was right at the beginning. And anyway, we're going to go through that because the Dan Mora cover, and you know I'm a fan of his, attracted me to it. Now, DC have rolled out some heavy hitters this week, and this is one of the heaviest hitters you're ever going to get, with a little bit of Silvestri doing the whole lot. That's a great book, Mark Silvestri back on top. Let's do Marvel, let's do DC, let's do 2 Marvel. Now, this was intriguing because, do you know what, I haven't read any Guardians of the Galaxy for donkey's years, God knows, as they say in the UK, God knows, for a long while. It's a translation of donkey's years. So we're going to have a little look at that. I did enjoy it. Sorry, Marvel, Punisher. That. Now this, Punisher and Daredevil in one comic. Expect me to talk a little bit about that one. Just warning you right now. Little indie. This is issue 8, but the artwork intrigued me, and Jeff Lemire, I recognise his name, but forgive me, I don't do the heavy research, but it's just a name. I know I've reviewed a couple of his comics before, and he's done a lot more than I. Who cares? He doesn't care what I give him credit for. But anyway, that was something really nice that you can see. What they say, it's like an illustrated novel. What did it sound about, an illustrated novel or something like that? They said, and I thought, yeah, cracking. Now this, I know I went on the last week about issue 2 of this, but look at this cover. And do you know what this is? This is the Duffel Bag Gore variant by Frank Quitely. Now, I'm only pointing out the artwork in this. I'm not going to go through this comic like I do with all the others. I just wanted to point this out, that it came in the duffel bag. And yes, I've cut the top off. I don't know what CGC think about that. And look at me with my fingerprints all over it. And I'm going to read it as well. I haven't read this one yet, but I just thought I'd show. So I don't care what anyone thinks, what grade that's going to be. But I just thought it was funny. And like I say, I won't go through. It reminded me actually of Jeff Darrow. This artwork. If anyone's a Jeff Darrow fan, which I am, and I'm a Frank Quitely fan, and you know what I mean about those two being on the same mental wavelength, let's call it that, but a great mental wavelength for comic book fans. God, I'm looking at this, is proper DC heavy. I'm going to quickly flick through this Batman. If you're not reading this and you're listening to all the naysayers, just get into this book. Honestly, if you like Batman, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to show you why. This is another, obviously, this isn't Batman, but and I know Gotham City. I'm just recommending this again. I'm not going to flick through it. I'm going to put it over there because I'm not going to do the page by page on this one. But I'm just going to say this is out this week. In a previous Hog View, I did recommend it, and I still do. Just a real nice hard-boiled read. You know, it's just right. So I've got a couple of bits here I picked up at the convention. The Latex Avenger is everything you expect it to be. What I found funny at the con, it reminded me of there was a comic of yesteryear, probably 15 years ago, they're called The Three Geeks. This reminded me of The Three Geeks, and it was just about, obviously, three comic book collectors and all their adventures, and the three mates, three friends, and a bit like Big Bang Theory, but just concentrating on the comic stuff. This reminded me of that, and I will show a couple of pages. I won't do an in-depth on this because it's funny. I want to recommend it, and I want to help out a little independent, you know, an enthusiast get on. I did do one of my, I think I mentioned that and this one, but I just want to show a few of the pages inside, just to give it a little bit. It deserves a little bit more of a detailed go through this stuff. Amelia Rules, and this little beauty, which I will be showing a few pages of. This was a limited Neal Adams. Now, if you don't know who Neal Adams is, get on and Google it and realise he was the one who, if you like Batman, he's the inventor of the modern day Batman. Him and Len Wein back in the day. Just get on with it and Google it and have a look at this boy's artwork. I think while I was in the convention, I did mention that I just picked up a comic just because he'd done the cover on it. Just because I'm a collector of his work, and yeah. So I'm just going to show you a little bit of the artwork from that. That is limited, I think, because the daughters were at the convention, and I went to a panel and like a little retrospective of Neal Adams, and it was just a great panel. And I didn't realise that was such a limited edition. His daughters signed it for me. You know, not that who cares. I don't know if CGC cares, who anyone cares, but I care. That's just makes it personal to me, and it's a limited edition. I think 400 they said, but it doesn't mention it in here, in the thing. But anyway, after the scroll, let's go on with it. Let's have a little look at this week's gems and a couple of other bits on the side, as the actress said to the bishop. Okay, here we go. First up, Batman. This continues to be a very, very good, another great cover, and this villain he's proving to be, well, unless you've failsafe his name is, unless you've been reading it. Well, if you're not, you've got to start, and it's only three or four issues back. Don't know what part this is, but we will get to it. One thing I will say is the artwork in this book, George Jimenez artwork. Chip Zdarsky I've gone into before, who's done that, who's doing a lovely run on Daredevil, but the artwork in this, these two guys working together. And you know I'm a stickler for sequential art. Now, tell me if you can follow that story. Yeah, what's happening? If you haven't read the previous 3 issues and you haven't got the words on this page, can you understand what's going on? Love it. That is absolutely, for me, this is superb stuff. But once you've got these are fundamentals that not a lot of artists seem to understand. Then you can do this. Then you have the impact. Love, this is just, it's just so pure Batman. Honestly, this book, I can't recommend it highly enough. I think that's why this is the 3rd time I'm going through it, and I am going to go through every page. And failsafe, this robot, look how he does Batman is nice. It's just his own. He's obviously got his influences. If you follow, you know, he captured Nightwing, and you know he's got what's the name under his spell, and is this good? But it don't go tech heavy. It's got the one conceit, Aquaman this issue. Obviously, last issue we had more the Justice League. Absolutely beautiful artwork. This, I've got to say, and the colouring by Tomeo Mori. Hope I got the name right. Again, just beautiful, intricate stuff. The three of them. But only one thing I'm not too sure of. It's one tiny little mean being nitpicking. When something is this good, you kind of try and find something. Like I say, look at this stuff, the big bold stuff. It's lovely. It's just different, and the story really does crack along. It's very economical writing, which I love. You know, obviously you can't. Not every story can be told this way. Pure Batman here, look. Pure Batman. And my only one nitpick is the way they're, not the lettering itself, but the way we hear the voice of Failsafe, which I'm not liking this crack or whatever it is, as if it's on an analog radio. I'm just not liking that. It should just be a smooth, almost like Hal from 2001. A robot, you know, this cold android voice, but this is sounding a bit too. Listen, it isn't spoiling my enjoyment of this book one iota. Well, it's not. It isn't spoiling anything. I'm just saying, not sure if that. But I mean, in a scene like this where it's trying to reboot kind of thing, maybe look at the fantastic stuff. The three of them, artist, writer, artist, colorist. Look at that, and that's what. This is what you get. This is what you get. And a cliffhanger. Batman. In the vacuum of space. This story as well, by Zdarsky again. With this, you know, let's call it off-piste style of artwork. You know, it's going for the classic take of Batman, but this is set back in the day. Batman. It references it here. This is nice. That is pure year one, maybe year two Batman. Who was the artwork on that? But Buzzachelli, was it? But anyway, he's got his own art style, this guy, which I love. But he's obviously riffing off, and it is to, you know, you're getting the Batman origin again, and it's early days Joker. So, but honestly, for a backup strip, well, I wish every backup strip was like this. I tell you, and comics would be, well, back where they used to be. Yeah. See, and tonight you know, just great. That is just great Batman stuff. That, like I say, I cannot recommend that enough. Now we're going to keep on the Batman. Well, kind of the Batman theme, but this, I'm really liking these books. This Dan Mora cover is what attracted me to the book in the first place. Massive fan of this guy's artwork. And I just thought this is just design wise, I just thought this is a beautiful comic cover, just a beautiful piece of artwork, and it made me want to look inside. It isn't his artwork, but nevertheless the art by Yasmin Putri is still absolutely superb. Sorry about the lighting there. Is absolutely superb. Written by Tom Taylor, you know, and the colouring, Arif Prianto on the colouring duties here. I like that. You know, this is the attention to detail that, you know, you wouldn't have got this back in the day comics. You know, the colourists is, you know, I can't emphasise it enough. But what I like about this book is, and I will do a quick flick through this one because obviously it's an issue 8, I think. It's an issue 8, but so you're kind of getting nearer to the end of the story than not. So maybe, but there's plenty going on, and I kind of got from this issue what had gone on in the past. Like they're doing a good old-fashioned, which is nothing wrong with doing an old-fashioned bit of comic book storytelling and a bit of backstory. I just like the fact that we know these, and it is Elseworlds. It's you know, it's just Elseworlds stuff, but why not have some fun? But I've got to say, the guys and girls on these back books, and let's call this a back book because it's called Dark Knights of Steel, even though it's set in an Elseworlds, and Batman, well, he's not in this issue, but Poison Ivy is, look, so is Harley Quinn. I don't know about this, I don't know, how necessary that was, unless it's been in previous issues, something's burgeoning. But you know, but anyway, it's one panel, so nice. This is just nice art job here, I thought. And like I say, nice Elseworld story. I'll leave it there. We obviously know who this is as well. And yeah, nice bit of colouring, etc. etc. Next up, Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, if you're only what I'll say about this book, if your only reference for Guardians of the Galaxy is the films, you will doubly love this comic. But obviously, as a geekyOlhog, my references go all the way back to the original. But I just like this as a there's one story in this issue, one story, and if you love the films, you're gonna love this, because as you're reading as well, I was anyway, and even group, no, as you're reading the characters, it is the characters from the film, but I didn't find anything wrong with that. I really didn't. I just really enjoyed this story. The artwork, you know, isn't gonna. Listen, it is great artwork and it's great colouring, and I like the fact that they packed a lot in here. They've packed a lot in. There is a penciler and an inker on this, and a colourist. Penciling by Gerardo Sandoval. Victor Nava is the inker, and Israel Silva is the colourist. So between the three of them, and obviously the writer, this is a nicely detailed art job. You know, there's no like blank panels of black space or white anything. I just thought, you know, like scenes like this, I mean, I don't know how much of the artwork, how much of the artist was involved in this, but for me, that's more the colourist and the background of this. But in and of themselves, this is just a really nice job. I just thought, and it is not a very serious story. It's about the hive mind, whatever it's called. Someone from what was the planet in the film? That planet Earth, Midgard, a world mind, Xandar's, right? She's trying to interview Quill, like Star-Lord, and they're in the middle of a you know, of an adventure. But what he doesn't realise is what unravels in this issue is the fact that the world mind has interviewed everyone else. And they're all giving their version of what the question is, what are Terrans, you know, what makes a human tick. And I just thought it was a nice undercurrent to the story, running through the action adventure story, and all the characters are from the films. Then you've kind of got this ominous ending elsewhere, and you know, Rocket Raccoon giving it large, all the usual, and you know, at the end, Star-Lord sits down, and the end. So it's a setup for a bigger story, but I just thought it was very, very nicely done. And if you want to jump on a new comic and just have a little bit of a sorbet between all the serious stuff, because you've got to have a little bit of light and shade in anything, in reading books, in watching TV or films or that. You can't just continually watch all the dark stuff, otherwise you'd go mad. Now, another Marvel book, but I'm going to do this now. Just so it breaks up the kind of like the different characters and books of what I've chosen this week, because otherwise half of them are Batman books, so I will try and split it up a little bit. But this was tied for me. This was a draw with the Batman Deadly Duo, which I will leave till last. But this is my hit of the week. I've raved about it. I've even done an individual video of it on this run of Punisher, and what a great comic. Daredevil in it as well, so all right, I'm biased because he's one of my favourite characters of all time. Writing, artwork, and the two guys on the art duties doing the the backstory and the modern day stuff. My God, I've never I've read Punisher from day one, right, as a geekyOlhog, and that means I've been reading it for 40 years, yeah, give or take. So 40 years of reading Punisher. No one has ever done a story like this for me. I might have missed one. I don't know what they're, and if I've missed it, I don't know what they're riffing off. But this present day stuff and the artwork by Jesus Size obviously is the star of the show. He's obviously going to sell the book. But do you know what? And this is all good. This is all good. Daredevil and Punisher facing off is always going to be good. Look at this. This is fantastic. Fantastic stuff. But the most beautiful part of this comic is here in the flashbacks. And I've got to tell you, the flashbacks they've done about when Frank first returns home from war and is dealing with two grown-up kids that don't know him, it's so beautifully done. I can't recommend this book enough. And like I say, I've never come across a storyline that tackled that particular issue where he's feeling uncomfortable. You know, it's kind of like a trope that's been done in war movies and etc. etc. But how they've done this and this flashback artwork, I tell you what, and then bang, back up to date, and how the writer has laced it in. This is one of the best comics I've read in a long while. Yeah, I know, it is that good. I'm sorry, but it is that good. One of the best. The pacing of the comic, the references to Daredevil's past and Daredevil trying to help the Punisher, recognising that Frank Castle's off, you know, all off out of the we've got the references to the religious aspect, which we know that Daredevil has been, look, and then you get a splash page like this. Oh, and that's obviously pure Frank Castle, the flashback scenes, but just took a moment of Frank Castle's past that, like I say, was very original. A really, for me, a totally original take. And this stuff, where they're going with the Punisher, I've got a couple of theories about where they're going with the Punisher, because at the moment he's, you know, a part of the beast, you know, part of the hand and all that, and he's under a spell and etc. etc. But and then back to this stuff again. No, this was beautiful stuff, and even the modern day stuff interlaced with one panel that we've seen before from issue 1. This was a flashback panel from issue 1. Obviously this is Maria and there's things going on. Yeah, I just thought this was an absolutely sensational issue of a comic, and the setup at the end, you know, leaving it to the last splash page with what's his name back, the God of War. I just thought was fantastic. That, if you're going to get into a book, if you're not going to go back to issue 1, this is only issue 7, I'm pretty sure, and issue 6 was the first part of this story. So just start issue 6, do yourself a favour, go back to issue 1 really. Just do yourself a favour, just everyone do themselves a favour on that one. One more time, go out and get Punisher. Little Monsters. Oh, Jeff Lemire. Now, I haven't read. I'm slowly catching up on this guy's artwork. Sorry, his writing, and because I did recommend 10,000 Black Feathers that was written by him last week or the week before, and what a great little horror story that is. And the same again with this. I won't spend too much time on it. It's an issue 7, but again, where it's part of such a bigger, wider story, and Jeff Lemire, I'm getting a feeling he does like the bigger, wider stories. That looks like a scene out of Once Upon a Time in America, where they was all kids, and there's a very famous shot before the little boy gets shot. And but anyway, there's nothing wrong with reference, and or it might just be subliminal. But I've just immediately thought of that. Just, I love the fact it's black, white, and grey tone. Very, it's almost like a lost art, I think, using grey tone or duotone, whatever you want to call it, whatever country you're from. Lovely art style from Dustin Nguyen, and obviously no colourist, so obviously the grey tones are down to Mr. Nguyen. And the story about a group of kids, I like the fact that they do, you know, how it was. So what we do is we get a little of when they was all mates, yeah, and then how it is and what's going on now. And I just like the way they're doing it. They're showing you the slow unravelling again, how it was. So they're showing you two of these characters, these kids. There's about half a dozen of them. Like I say, this is the first issue, and I've dived in on issue 7. So how it was is they're all playing about and they're all happy before the darkness comes. How it is. There's not a lot I can really tell you about the story because I don't want to make myself sound like an idiot if I've got it wrong. But I've got a feeling I know where the story goes. You know, you've got the one mysterious kid who doesn't talk. He just communicates through his artwork and you know, a little bit of sign language. He's got the ump with him. You know, that was how it was. So he even had these two had the ump with each other back in the day. And then how it is. Here we go. Oh, look at the teeth on him. So I think you're picking up on all the clues I am. Oh, look at the teeth. And then we get a little reveal about the kid, the mysterious one, and this old boy, you know, how it has to be, which this was unusual. This is how it was. This is you know, this is going back. So I like the way they're lacing this all together. I really do. And you know, I'll probably endeavour to get the previous 6 issues because I really want more of this. I really want more. And Image, I will say, Image are good, as I'm sure you're all aware of doing. I'm not going to show the last page of that because it's a nice little reveal that I think I've given you enough of a kind of teaser. And if you were standing in the comic shop, you know, you could have looked at the last page, but I won't show you. I'm just going to say, go and pick this one up, Little Monsters. I still say these back pages, they're wasting. This is a quote from the book, which I think is relevant. And doesn't the black show up all my fingerprints nice? Sorry, CGC. Anyway, I've read the comic, so that's that. Right. This was just, if this hadn't have come out the same week as Punisher, this book right here with Mark Silvestri coming, Arif Prietano doing the colourings. Obviously, he's written and drawn it. Who also did the colouring on The Dark Knights of Steel. And again, beautiful work on this. And it's Mark Silvestri, so all I can do really is flick through this book and show everyone. To be fair, I can't do any more than that, can I? So here we go, and I haven't seen Mark Silvestri draw like this before. He's finding a different non-traditional superhero. You know, you could accuse Silvestri. I've liked Silvestri since day one, but it reminds me of when Frank Miller took a different turn with his right. And Jim Lee, do you remember when Jim Lee did Batman? And suddenly he went from just that normal clean, like, to something a little, you know, influences were coming from different places. I really like the fact that it's his art. You know, he's obviously penciled and inked this, and it's brought a different dynamic to his artwork. With Arif Prianto on the colours, you know, or whether maybe, I mean, now I'm looking at this now with this scratchy kind of effect, I'm wondering if he's just adopted this style for this story. I don't know why. I don't know why it would make it relevant, to be fair, but maybe. Look at that. And the storyline as well is very, very intriguing. It's a really nice idea what they're doing here for this. Love this. This is where artists like Mark Silvestri and your Jim Lee and your Frank Miller, they will get a shot like this in, won't they? And that could be a poster. I don't care what anyone said. You know, look at this stuff here. Look, this is just one page, and then they throw. You know, Catwoman's gone after this page. It's just a little look, nice letter in there. I should have written the letterer's name down. Really, let's give a shout out to Troy Pateri for this lettering, because there was no need to do that, but it's nice. Look, with a little bat logo there, the little cat logo there. This is nice stuff, but complementing this artwork, look, with the cats, the silhouettes of the cats hovering around here to introduce her. Look, and I can't look at these cats. Look, I can't. And again, sequential storytelling, the writing. This is Mark Silvestri writing and drawing his own story, but nevertheless, instead of just going to loads and loads of splash pages, loads of no, hold back. We just hear her voice, then a mid shot, then a close up, and then back to our good old bats. This is gorgeous stuff. This is gorgeous stuff. This is exactly what we want to see more of every week, every month. Lovely. You know where they're going now with the story. I won't go through too much. This is kind of classic Silvestri. This is an image where I would have said, yeah, that's Mark Silvestri, but I wonder who inked him. If I didn't know, if I hadn't picked up this book, because you can see, and again, there is nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that. And Mark Silvestri is long enough in the tooth now to know, like, to kind of. I'm not saying it's easy doing this stuff. I'm just saying he must do this with his eyes closed now, because he's so good. Because he's so good. I'm not trying to speak ill of him and his talents. It's just powerful stuff. And this really cracks along this story, and it is a great idea. Isn't it? I won't go in to the idea. This is nice horror stuff. Look, with the head. It's nice horror stuff, and it's under the Black Label, so you know there's a couple of little swear words in here, and there's a severed head and a severed hand. Look at this. This is nicely done. Again, not just pure Batman. Got the cave in there. Look, they really have thrown it all in here. They really have thrown it all in. More of a cinematic, I would say, a Jared Leto influence with the Joker, but I'm going to allow it. This isn't where I want to discuss what I think about Jared Leto as the Joker, but the very modern take on. I think obviously influenced by the Leto, not completely, because obviously we've got the what's it here. So it's just got to be. I don't know the yin and yang of these two characters that make this so strong. That still makes these stories so strong. And again, another lovely, a beautiful shot. You can see that Silvestri has had a ball with this. Love to know how long it took. Love to know how long it took him to have done that. I don't know how many books are in this series, but yet Black Label. Like I say, this would have been any other week. This would have been pick of the week. Love is Harley. To be fair, as well, but he's been working in superhero comics enough to, to just nail it, and now nail his version. Obviously, ain't too much you can do with Batman, but I think each artist does bring their own take to it, and their own take to the Joker and Harley. But nevertheless, I like it. Right. So that's this week's latest. Now, obviously, I've just come back from Baltimore Comic Convention. I just want to have a quick flick through this. This is, and just give independent creators, the creators that are just starting out and doing their own thing, self-publishing. This guy, Dan Price, white creator. Like I said at the beginning, it reminded me of Free Geeks, but you've obviously got this character. This is issue 4, Latex Avenger. I mean, the clue's in the name, really. Yeah, kind of like for adults only, trying to chat up other cosplayers. He's got a sidekick as well. Just check it out on Indiegogo, and the other one, he did tell me what one he was on, the fundraisers, independent fundraisers. This was just a really funny, like, just a really funny laugh out loud. Him dealing with the cosplayers, getting jealous of the bird with the three breasts from the film, the Mars one with Arnie, Total Recall, copping off with a Cougar Man or whatever his name, Cheetara. I know it's silly stuff, but I just thought I'd give this guy a quick shout out, because and the artist as well, by Bon Adam, or Bon Adami, however you pronounce his name. Give it a little check out, because it's not £1 million, and if you fancy a laugh, again, I've done some really heavy hitters this week, some really serious shit. Punisher versus Daredevil and Batman and Elseworld and all that. You know, I just thought I'd give the guy a shout out, and if you know, have a go here and have a laugh. Right, and again, this was only something I've come across recently, but I'm just going to have a little, you know, just a slightly different format to what I normally do. If you haven't clicked off yet, Jimmy Gownley was at the Baltimore Comic Con, so I did leaf through, and I do like the cartoon stuff. I do like Bloom County, and or I did like Bloom County. I did like Calvin and Hobbes. I did like Peanuts, and then Liberty, bringing it right up to date with Liberty Meadows, and Frank Cho was at the convention as well. Not that he does Liberty Meadows anymore. And this is all in the same vein, you know. I mean, kind of. I went for this one because I thought it sums it up. As in a group of kids at school, you know, the tween age guide to not being unpopular. I just like the play on words as well. And I'll just show an example of one of Amelia, the main character, just snapping. Look, she's snapped, she's at school. You know, what is your problem? And then they talked about honesty. He's got a really nice, clean, fresh style. Jimmy Gownley. He signed this for me. He signed this for me as well. Bless him. Really nice guy. Obviously, I'm late in the day. Look, like I say, lovely clean art style. You know, that cartoony, specifically next to, you know, it's just all fun. It's all fun stuff. But I think as I've got older, I think I'm enjoying this stuff more. I think I used to be very, very superhero heavy. When I'm a very serious young man reading, you know, all the superhero stuff, and it had to be, you know, when Watchmen and Dark Knight Returns was coming out, and oh my god, you know. But now, you know, do you? And then I'm just showing this one example, just one sketch, and then the last one I'm just going to have a little leaf through with you guys. Is this signed by Neal Adams? He's obviously passed away now. And it was only very, very recently. This is the guy that you owe a debt of gratitude to for giving you the modern version of Batman, in a nutshell. You know, this week I'm not going to give you a lecture on Neal Adams, but I'm just going to say that one thing. This is a sketchbook limited to a few hundred copies. I think the two daughters said, and I'm just going to. Yeah, he only passed away this year. I met him at the San Diego Comic Con in 2016. Not met him as in, you know, having a long chat, etc., etc. But I just want to show you just a few. And these are sketches, because I went to a panel where the question was, and I hope this is coming through nicely through. Now this, you know, if you think this is copying, this is, oh, I've seen that before, and oh, Jim Lee has done that, or, you know, I haven't just singled him out for copying Neal Adams, by the way. I'm just saying, you know, if you claim that, oh yeah, that's just what any modern artist has done, this guy was doing this in the late 60s, early 70s. Think about it. He did. It was and look, this is all great stuff. So I'm just gonna flick through it because I was so over the moon to go to the panel. listen to just a few little anecdotes from the two daughters and Jim Starlin, who is obviously the creator of Thanos and a Marvel artist for donkey's years. You know, look at this. The bloke couldn't not draw anything, but apparently he couldn't draw cats. Miss Mystic from back in the day. You know, probably Wolverine. You know, is he the best artist for Wolverine? No, but for Batman he certainly was. These are all just, you know, these are all unpublished sketches and some of his artwork. You know, is he the best Joker artist? Probably not. But I mean, I've got the hardcover edition of him and Len Wein when they was on Green Arrow, Green Lantern and Green Arrow back in the 60s. You know, reprinting there. I thought this was nice stuff. And he was a big advocate for rights. I've got the Dead Man slipcase edition as well, where he was doing that. And like I say, he was the forerunner. Where you look at this artwork and you can see it's very modern. It's not like looking at Jack Kirby or Steve Ditko or John Buscema. When you look at Neal Adams' artwork, you know, I know it's a cliche, but way ahead of its time. It just was. It simply was. So in Black Widow, I mean, Black Widow's pretty cool. He could draw the sexy women. So I just thought I'd give you a little look at that. I picked this up, and it was funny, before I did this panel, the Neal Adams panel, I picked this comic up for a couple of dollars. That's $6, by the way, it's upside down. Just because it was Neal Adams cover. I don't collect this title, and I did do it in the video. And then a couple of these that I picked up before the show. I didn't pick these up at the show, but I'm buying them because they're Neal Adams covers. I've already labelled that one up, look, issue 200 of Batman. Not one of his most glorious covers, but I just, you know, they're not, like I say, they're not millions of quid, so I pick them up. But this one is more typical Neal Adams. You know, this is pure. This is pure Neal Adams. Obviously none of this. And there is a Neal Adams story in there. So again, I had to pick this up. I'm not a big Batman collector, but there will be certain moments in time with this particular character when it will be Neal Adams, it will be Frank Miller, it will be the latest run, particularly, you know, and then there's Legends of the Dark Knight, you know, blah blah blah. But I'm not the most avid Batman fan, collector wise. So anyway, I just thought I'd share those with you, and I think that is enough for this week. I think that's enough comic talk for this week. So I hope you've enjoyed the new format. If you have, please click like, the one that says that, that's like, and then click subscribe, and and the notification bell, ding-a-ling-a-ling, and I will bid you adios.